Guys, let's get 800 likes and I will release a new part. The hero admits that at the moment he has few friends, but he is proud of what they have. He has it, and when one of them faces difficulties, he will always help them and they will do it. Do your best to help him. This kind of relationship is exactly what he can accept. Therefore, he will sincerely help her. He's not someone who can afford to satisfy the desires of others. He wasn't used to listening to someone's orders, especially if it was someone else's. An arrogant person who criticizes everyone and rules unfairly. Mi decides to find out if Eugene is his friend. Tenjin gives a positive answer. The interviewee notices that earlier, when she sent him to the Ning checkpoint as bait, he asked, "Leave it." The hero explains that it was for his protection. The girl claims that she is going to be his friend, but she wants him to promise her something. She wants to occupy his heart, a lot more space than Eugene. The guy looks at the interlocutor with an unreadable look. He clearly doesn't like this attitude. General Wu smiles back. The hero never gives her an answer. After some time between, the two guys start a conversation. The scientist rushes to find out what his brother wants to find in the armory. The store. Tenjin explains that he wants to order a special weapon for himself. It offers the other person should go with him if he is free. Eugene asks what kind of weapon we're talking about, and does it exist in the army? The hero explains that there are no similar weapons that he wants in the game. The army, so he needs to order it. The brothers set out on their journey. Walking through the streets of the city, Eugene asks if his brother has any money. For this, it turns out that the guy was given money by General Wu. The scientist praises the hero for the fact that he can even receive money from the ladies of the Wu family. The same one orders him to be silent. They pass one of the buildings, which Eugene recognizes as a blacksmith shop. Hero comes forward, asking if there is a manager there. A gray-haired man answers his question, smoking a cigarette. His one eye is covered with a blindfold, and one leg and one arm are mechanical. He asks if Sir wants to order a gun. Chapter 1-28. Tenjin throws a bag of money at the blacksmith. The same one, not seeing the object flying at it, catches it. The hero bends over it, showing images of the blade. He is willing to pay all his money, so that the blacksmith can do the job. The old man grins, saying that this weapon looks very unusual, so you will need some time at the ready. Estimating the weight of the bag, he notes that it is quite large, the amount he can live on for the rest of his life, so he will personally let you know when it will finish its work. There's a rumble nearby. Something slammed into the protective wall. Tenjin orders his brother to go for cover because the Ning army has begun a siege and he is going to go check the situation. The Feng soldiers on the walls are suffering greatly from the catapult barrage. The Ning army has come close to the walls of the city. On the surface, it is not just preparing for a siege, but launching a full-scale assault. At the same time, one of the soldiers on the walls informs the others that the enemy has begun a siege, so he calls on archers to prepare their arrows and be ready to dodge the enemy's arrows. The text. At this point, one of the boulders hits the speaker, turning him into a bloodstain. General Guang Zhao urges everyone to listen to his orders. He gives the order that the archers, they took their seats. As soon as this happens, he gives the command to start firing. Several hundred arrows are sent out towards the attackers. Some of the catapults got too close, so the Ning soldiers that charge them suffer from the arrows of the defenders of the city. The archers hide, taking a short break. One of the soldiers notices that the number of enemy troops outnumber them, and the enemy is already under the city walls. Indeed, the Ning soldiers are breaking through to the city walls. They've already put up the walls and are climbing the stairs. Nim, intending to break through another bulwark of defense, defenders of the city fiercely. They resist by throwing stones and boulders at the attackers, thereby trying to slow down their rise. The man leading the Ning soldier commands to release arrows. Several dozen arrows. They overtake the defenders of the walls. Seeing this, General Guang Zhao urges his subordinates to put on their armor. Pay close attention to enemy arrows. Tenjin runs up to one of the soldiers, wanting to borrow his sword for a while. General Wu, noticing that the guy came here without armor, encourages him to go quickly to the shelter. The hero declares that he is not going to sit on the sidelines because the city was attacked. Mei thinks he's gone mad. She doesn't understand what he's going to do since he's not wearing any armor, and he still hadn't recovered from his injuries. Eugene, however, says that the only way to heal his brother's wounds is to go to the hospital. Battle. The scientist explains that the brother is a master of the dark flame, so the battle is stimulating. His cells will regenerate, so he will heal his wounds. The girl notes that even if this is so, how can he go to such a dangerous place right now? Eugene also claims that Tenjin simply has no one to stop, and a representative of the fair sex declares that it will help him. The hero at this time climbed the wall, where the battle is already in full swing with the soldiers of Ning, who almost managed to break through. Using dark fire, he burns a couple of them. healing their wounds. After that, he turns to face the rest of the enemies, noticing that the battlefield is the best a place for him. The hero breaks forward. On the battlefield, he is free. He can do whatever he likes. Anything. This place is not for good people. Success feels different here. Dealing with enemies. The guy understands that only here he can be so fast, get unlimited power, because he is someone who lives only for and for himself. After using dark fire on the body, the hero decides to try to transfer its power to the sword. His two soldiers attack at once, but with one blow, he cuts their weapons, after which he lengthens them. Blade your own blade with the dark flame. Continuation of the weapon wags from side to side, obeying the will of the owner. Standing on the mountain of enemy corpses, Tenjin takes a deep breath, absorbing more and more energy consumption. The Ning soldiers begin to fear him, calling him a monster. In the next instant, the inevitable happens. The sword in the hero's hands simply turns into an oski, unable to withstand the release of spiritual pressure. Noticing the fallen soldier's weapon nearby, the hero throws it up with a deft movement of his foot. Then he catches it by the handle. The guy notices that now he just has a monstrous volume. Spiritual power. He decides to try something. New weapons are covered with a thick layer. A dark flame. Tenjin aims his sword at the enemies, then swings his weapon. Ning soldiers see that a wave of spiritual energy is flying at them, but they can't do anything because of their bodies, shackled from the pressure of spiritual power. At the last moment, a dark wave of energy stops the white flash, saving the soldiers. The hero's attack was stopped by a guy with white hair and bright armor. He orders his allies to withdraw and leave the dark martial artist behind. Thank you to him. The opponent's face has a helmet that hides the upper part of it. He recognizes the K-hero as a master. Dark Flame then realizes that he has encountered the same person who wounded the third prince. He takes off, bringing the spear behind his back with the desire to blow off Tenjin's head. The brunette jumps out of the way in time, avoiding the enemy's attack. After that, he will counterattack, taking advantage of the white-haired man's opening. The hero's blade sweeps a couple of centimeters from his face. The enemy, after which the latter goes on the attack. Tenjin parries this attack with his sword covered in dark flames. The white-haired master focuses on the onslaught of the opponent, for which the next moment is paid. Hero, she gives him a kick to the face, forcing him to step back. Soldier Ning slows down his slide with the tip of his spear, then focuses his energy on its tip, extending the weapon towards the sky. The gravitational force lifts cobblestones into the sky. Tenjin, after which the opponent clenches his fist. All objects that are lifted into the air start to move, gather in one ball. The hero, using his power, breaks out of this gravitational barrier. Fields, once behind the enemy's back, he puts his hand on the shoulder, covered with a dark flame. Tenjin gets a bad feeling. Soldier Ning also clenches his teeth, then turns around, stabs a guy with a spear. The tip of his weapon plunges into the hero's flesh, sending him flying. A flight of 10 meters. The hero coughs up blood, trying to recover. The enemy appears in front of him, declaring that he wants to use his dark fire, but he can't, so today will be his day. Death. Tenjin wants to know the name of the person who wants to kill him. The same one leans over the guy, saying that his name is Wu Kui, and he is a general of the Ning army, so he should remember well who he is. After that, the white-haired man raises his spear, intending to kill the enemy, but he is in the middle of a fight. An arrow strikes my shoulder. Wu Kui pulls the arrows out of his armor, then turns around and asks who fired them. An arrow in his back. It turns out that Eugene, along with 2 soldiers, came to the rescue of his brother. The scholar asks if Brother Tang is okay. The hero decides to take this chance and heal with the help of a dark aura. General, however, Ning tightens his grip on his spear, then asks who dared meddle in his affairs, and whether they even need their lives. At this point, his armor, it is being restored. The 2 guys who came with Eugene notice that their enemy doesn't know what to do. He looks normal, and besides, he fought with Brother Tan. The swordsman breaks into battle. He confidently closes the distance, and then strikes a vertical blow. Strike with your weapon. Wu Kui blocks this attack with his spear. Onslaught of the Ning army general. It is difficult to withstand, so the swordsman has to retreat, but the white-haired man does not intend to kill him. Release it. He is about to finish off the guy, but an arrow again arrives in his armor, forcing him to stop now. This angers Wu Kui, because the archer again intervenes in his battle. The Ning soldiers, noticing that Tenjin is not moving, think that he is very weak, so this is why. The perfect opportunity to kill him. The hero plays along with them, hiding his face with his hands. One of the enemies believes that the Dark Flame Master is simply afraid to look death in the eye, so he attacks him. Tenjin also opens his eyes at the last moment, after which the first strikes. The hero kills a small group of enemy soldiers, after which his dark flame consumes him from the ground. From head to toe, He starts laughing like a madman, holding his head. Wu Qi notices that the aura behind him has changed. He is surprised to realize that Tenjin is for such a short period of time was able to heal his wounds. Army General Ning directs, use your weapon towards the hero, stating that he is his opponent, so he will let him have a taste. Your power. The archer and swordsman notice that this person's strength is unusual. Wu Qi puts the spiritual spear forward, aiming it at the guy and concentrating the energy on his body. The tips. In the next instant, a stream of yellow energy shoots out in his direction. Tenjin. He looks over his shoulder at it, grinning. Army General Ning felt that the enemy had decided to end this battle so ridiculously. However, after a moment, his face changed. The carcass of one of his dogs was flying at him. Subordinates who asked him to save them. The man cut the fool into 2 pieces without hesitation. But from behind Soldier Ning's troop, a hero wrapped in dark flames immediately appeared. Tenjin deals a direct blow to the opponent's torso, releasing a small cloud of dark smoke from his fist. The flame. Wu Qi slows down the momentum after hitting, then calls the enemy to stop. Use dark fire because it's useless. At this moment, a swordsman attacks him from behind. The man jumps out of the way, dodging a sword strike. An archer's arrow hits Qi in the back, and he notices that he shouldn't be ignored, but Tenjin then appears behind the general of the Ning army, delivering a powerful blow to the place where she was. Armor destroyed. The hero's attack does not penetrate the enemy's defense. This surprises him a little, which makes him break up. Distance yourself by getting close to the swordsman. Army General Ning doesn't understand how such a fool can be like him, maybe trying to kill him altogether. It encourages you to try to do this via 10 years of training while swinging your spear and releasing a wave of energy at your enemies. The hero jumps, avoiding the attack, and the swordsman crouches in time. Tenjin decides what is needed. Attack from both sides, so he encourages an ally to attack from the front while he is on his own. Attack from behind. The swordsman takes note of this as he charges forward. Wu Qi also mentally. He notices that the black fire cannot harm him, so Tenjin is not dangerous to him. For this, I think he's going to kill the guy with the sword first. Tenjin quickly analyzes the situation. His enemy's spiritual energy is great, and his defense, it recovers too quickly. The guy with the sword may look strong, but he can be defeated very easily. The hero's dark flame cannot penetrate the enemy's defenses. At the same time, the sword guy's attack is met with another Ning army general's block, which is easy, overpowers his onslaught, making a retaliatory attack and injuring the guy. The hero pays attention to the second ally. He notices that the archer's aura is insignificant, but he is strong because his arrows can break through the enemy's defenses, which is exactly what he is going for. Use it. One of the arrows just goes to the back of Qi, who is engaged in a fight with. He is a swordsman, so Tenjin plans to strike with dark flame immediately after he is killed. The guy's arrow will break through his defense. However, at the last moment, the hero changes his plan. He puts his hand right in front of his head, move the enemy's arrow so that the ally's arrow passes through it. With this action, he manages to get rid of the general Ning army spiritual protection. The arrow plunges into the back of the man's head and exits through his mouth. Wu Qi's spear falls to the ground, and the great warrior himself falls to his knees. The hero also begins to absorb the power of a true general with its dark flames. The other soldiers of the Ning army realize with horror that the enemy has defeated their leader. Eugene notices that his brother was able to gain a spiritual shield. The hero's allies are also straining because the aura coming from Tenjin terrifies them. The latter picks up the fallen man's spear from the ground. The hero is enveloped in a veil of dark fire, and the spear is transformed into a scythe. The swordsman does not understand how this is possible, and then it comes to him because their leader is a master. A dark flame. Eugene asks not to jump to conclusions, because Army General Ning is already dead. In his mind, he understands that Brother Tang has absorbed Wu Qi's energy and his current spiritual energy. It was just huge. The archer notices that a terrifying aura is emanating from the Tenjin scientist. He also realizes that right now the spiritual energy is being amplified in the guy's body, and if his willpower is not strong enough, he will not be able to do it. If he does, he'll lose control. At this point, the hero releases a huge amount of energy with a wave of the scythe. The guy kills everyone. Soldier Ning, who is able to climb the walls, then throws the ladders away. One of the attackers report the death of General Wu Qi. The rest of the people are in fear, calling the guy a real monster. The allies are also hurt by Tenjin's rage. When it's all over, Eugene gets up from the ground. He sees his brother among the corpses of his enemies. It no longer has the cover of dark flame on it, so he asks if he's all right. The hero doesn't have the strength to respond. His eyes close, and he says, "It starts to fall." Before losing consciousness, Tenjin sees his friend running towards him. The hero opened his eyes in a safe place. He was woken up by me, who went straight to the bathroom. questions about his state of health. It was obvious that she was worried about him. The guy admitted that he feels pretty good on the whole, but he's used up all his spiritual energy, so he can't help it. It will take some time to recover, and then he decides to find out what the current situation is. The moment has developed. Eugene reveals that the Ning army has temporarily retreated, and General Wu arrived in time to save them. He notices that General Zhongzheng can no longer defend Tongmen, so, despite these conditions, he can go with them, because he does not need to force himself in such a situation. The man declares that in this case he will have to wait until the king punishes him for not doing his job, because he was the one who left the protection from the very beginning. Ting Meng left him because he trusted him, so he must live up to the king's trust. The words move the girl, and General Zhongzheng claims that every 100 years in the ranks of the Feng army, in total, there is a general who dies in battle. He says that the enemies are already close, so he will die with Tongmen's soldiers, he wouldn't be able to insult his country. Everyone bows their heads, respecting the brave general's decision. The latter also notes that he only has one request for General Wu. He hopes that it will deliver to his family. Message when he returns to Yancheng. Night falls. General Wu's squad is sent to the capital. The hero decides to get acquainted with an archer and a swordsman. The first is called Le Tian, and the second is called Gu Yu. He notices that he knows that they are not comfortable right now, but they should not think that it is noble to fight without fear of death. Tenjin emphasizes that there are many people in this world who fight without fear of death. However, to die without meaning is stupid. The martial artist says that death is as heavy as a huge mountain, but during the battle, it is difficult to survive. The deaths of people feel an unprecedented ease, but if they decide to, then it won't stop. He notices that there is a place near Tongmen, so they can go there. The swordsman thanks the leader for this opportunity, realizing that he has managed to convince 2 of his allies. He invites them to follow him. The swordsman, he says that even though they are grateful to him, he should not think that he will continue to work with it. Tenjin says that if they find a better place, he doesn't mind if they leave. These words make the swordsman angry. Then Eugene intervenes in the conversation, which emphasizes that in this situation, it is better for them to unite. After that, the scientist passes the 2 guys a bottle with a medicine that can stop the bleeding and pain. He says it's from his brother, adding that this medicine is specially from General Wu for them because Brother Tang is worried about him. The guy notices that Tenjin is the one he wants to follow. The archer is mentally understands that he has a dark spirit. On the battlefield, it looked scary and even scared him, but now he is attentive to others. Some time passes. The detachment continues to move to Yancheng. Eugene decides to find out what Brother Tang plans to do something when they get to the city. The same one declares that he doesn't want anything, so he'll get some sleep first. In her mind's eye, Mi realizes that it's been 3 days since they left Tongmen, so she doesn't know how things are with General Zhongzheng now. At this point, one of the riders stops in front of her, starting to report. As expected, the Ning army started laying siege to the city again. This time, Ning army attacked in. With full force, General Zhongzheng was forced to retreat. The enemy army occupied Tongmen territory. But at that moment, 100,000 Feng soldiers suddenly appeared at the head of General Lion. They killed hundreds of thousands of soldiers from the Ning army, and now went to Tongmen City. Mei admits that bastard Liang Kai is really good. After all, he deliberately delayed to force 20,000 defenders to deal damage to the enemy, which is why most of them died, then appeared to defeat the weakened enemy. Eugene notices that there are 100,000 soldiers, but Ning suffered more casualties because they behaved too much. Reckless, General Wu decides to continue on to Yancheng. The girl decides to find out if Tenjin's wounds have healed during this time. The hero reports that he completely healthy. Mi notices that even the king has granted him the title of Noble Viscount for killing the general of the Ning army and capturing the 3rd prince is really unusual. The guy notices that most likely General Wu came up to him in order to say this. The interlocutor notices that now he is the commander of the 2nd Corps, so he will have to reform the Corps, so it specifies whether it is interested in choosing subordinates. After receiving a positive response from Tenjin, the girl asks if he needs advice. Hero says he just needs to take a look first. Mei reveals that there will be a banquet for the Wu family tonight, and her father would like to see it. Tenjin notices that he is not interested in the banquet, but he will take a look. The girl says that her father is friendly, so he shouldn't be nervous. The guy claims that he is not at all. He's nervous. This amuses the interlocutor. A trio of guys are coming from behind. The swordsman decides to find out if there is anything between General Wu and General Tan. Eugene tells him not to think about anything strange, because General Wu just appreciates Brother Tan. The swordsman also notices that their leader uses the power of the dark spirit. The scientist does not understand what is wrong with the dark spirit. and then declares that General Wu appreciates his brother, Tana, as a person. The other person thinks about this, and then the archer asks Gu Yu not to worry about it because it doesn't concern him. The latter, on the contrary, believes that this concerns him because he will work with the general. Tanum, the friend, notices that he accepted this as a fact. Eugene insists that Brother Tang is not. It will disappoint them. The squad passes through the gate, then goes on foot, going to the tent. There are several dozen armored soldiers who greet General Wu with respect. With a bow, the girl points out that they don't have to do this, and then she turns to the hero, informing him that these are candidates from newly recruited soldiers, from which he can choose. Add people to your squad. Tenjin is presented as the commander of the 2nd Infantry Corps, after which announces that he will select several of them today. The recruits did not recognize the hero because the fame of his achievements has not yet spread around the district. One of the soldiers remarked that he had never heard his name before. Another stated that it looks like too young to be a corps commander. After hearing all this gossip, expressing distrustful of himself, Tenjin decides to clear up the situation by asking everyone if there is anyone who reached the spiritual Yuan level. Those present are surprised by this question because there aren't many people in the Feng army, so there are no such masters among them. Then the hero asks if someone has a mutated spirit. The expression on the faces of the new recruits makes it clear that no. Then the guy asks those who have reached the spirit of destruction stage before the age of 20 to come forward. 5 years, because during training, only once every 3 or 4 years do they appear forward. 4 people come out. Tenjin states that he chooses them. Mei is hesitant, because as leaders they should have qualifications and be hired by management. She has big doubts. He is dark, claims to take care of the features, so the rest will depend on them. General Wu says that Tenjin can do as he pleases and can take them as long as he wants. There is a corpus of it. The hero also declares that in just 3 months the 2nd building will return to its original site, previous location. The girl smiles, noticing that she will wait to see it. After that, Tenjin leaves with the new recruits, leaving the fair sex in a state of disarray. The tent, because she has something to finish. Returning to his house, the hero asks the 4 to introduce themselves. New recruits have the following names: Lai Wai, Liu Zongxing, Chen Fan, Aijia. The guy notices that the last one is girl. The trio of new recruits are amazed at this because they thought she was a guy, so they ask, why didn't she tell them she was a girl? The latter appeals to General Tang not to, understanding why he'd even asked. Tenjin also says that he does not care, a man, she or a woman, and if she's not as good as the others, he'll just replace her. Aijia, I like this approach, when it is treated the same as everyone else. This answer pleases the hero, so he says that it should be the best for him, after which he is aware of his principle: the strongest survives and weaklings die. New recruits incline heads, declaring that they will do whatever it takes. Tenjin says that in the future they will be his trusted assistants, so he appoints Gu Yu as the first commander of the 2nd Corps. This assignment strikes a swordsman to the core. Seeing the hesitation in the eyes of the subordinate, the hero clarifies whether he agrees to this position. Guy immediately shows respect, thanking General Tang for such an honor and agreeing to this one. The hero continues to issue an assignment. This way, Le Tan will be the 2nd in command, Lai Wai will be 3rd, Liu Zong will be 4th, Chen Fang will be 5th, Aijia will be 6th, and Eugene will be his son. Deputy. The scientist mentally rejoices so much that he freezes for a few moments, after which he bows to his brother, thanking him for such a position. Tenjin notes to himself that only thanks to him, he now has an army. In the evening, the 2 brothers go to a banquet. Eugene reveals that the Wu family is on the front line. However, the hero notices that there are quite a lot of people here. Scholar Yi recalls that the Wu family, one of the 4 noble families in Feng, so most of the visitors came because of them. Forces. Tenjin is amused that in the capital they calmly arrange a banquet for the entire corps. At the entrance, the friends are stopped by a guard, demanding to show an invitation. Ni comes out to them, claiming they were her guests. The guards are a little surprised by this development, so they beg my lady's pardon, remarking that they did not know. The girl asks the hero to go inside with her. Tenjin asks her not to worry about it, calling her a friend. This my lady. The interlocutor notes that today the hero speaks very beautifully. When is Trinity? As he enters the banquet hall, many of the guests bow their heads, greeting Wu Mei with respect. Tenjin says it's very popular. General Wu nervously replies that this is normal, after which she leads the boy to her father. Approaching an older man with a beard and mustache, the girl draws his attention to herself, after which represents General Tang. The guy, realizing that he is referring to the head of the Wu family, bows his head in a respectful bow, expressing my deepest respect. The man notices that General Tang doesn't seem to be at all familiar, such as they say about him, because he is a person who naturally attracts attention. The guy says he doesn't deserve such praise. The leader of the Wu family states that if General Tang didn't show up, then his daughter was still in prison, trapped. The guy claims that it's all thanks to General Wu's plan, which he just carried out. Mi knows in her mind that he's still upset because she made him a decoy. The interlocutor also notices that Tenjin is so young, but at the same time very modest. And this is really true, a rarity in their time. The guy replies that he was just following orders. The head of the Wu family requests, so that General Tang wouldn't be so formal. He asks for forgiveness because he needs to leave early, and if the boy needs anything, all he has to do is tell the servants. Tenjin accepts it. As her father leaves, Mi turns to the boy, determined to find out what he meant by that. He says he was just praising her. The girl notices that the interlocutor believes that she. Funny, the hero notices that it was she who said this, and not he. Mi calls him an idiot. Then Tenjin starts laughing. When the two brothers return home, Eugene shares his thoughts, saying that he thinks that Brother Tang shouldn't be too close to Wu Mei. The hero decides to find out what the other person has in mind. Hugh, the scientist, says that Wu Mei is noble and beautiful, and if he gets too close to her, then people can get jealous and a disaster can happen. Tenjin asks what should he do if he wants her to be his, and then asks another question, what's his name? A woman can allow others to interfere in their relationship. After hearing this, Eugene he asks his brother to be careful. The hero understands everything perfectly. Morning comes. The hero gathers his people around him. He narrates that General Wu chose 4 people with experience, and if they have ideas for rebuilding the building, then they should put forward your own assumptions. A guy steps forward. He claims that everything is very organized. Good. Tenjin also notes that he will not ask for the training of new recruits, but he wants to, so that soldiers can ride horses and practice archery. General Tang asks if they can do it. The subordinate considers this inappropriate, because he does not understand why the 2nd Infantry Corps should be taught similar things. The hero emphasizes that he only asked if he could do it, or not. Tenjin says that if none of them can, then there is no need for them to stay in his house. The building. Recruits bow their heads in respect, knowing they have no other options. The experienced soldiers thought that he just got a place depending on his relationship with Wu Mei. Another believes that the recruits will escape in a few days. Only one thinks that once the leader, if he says so, then they should do what he wants. The 4 simultaneously declare that they will obey the general's orders. After this conversation, the hero went to see Mei. The other one couldn't believe her ears, not understanding. Why does her friend need 10,000 horses? So she decides to find out what he's up to. The same explains that he wants to conduct horse riding training. The girl perceives these words as if the guy decided to switch from the infantry corps to the knight corps, which she can't handle. To agree, Tenjin notes that he simply asked if she could give him horses. General Wu is trying to figure out why they need to ride. The hero decides to explain his plan. He comes in from a distance, asking if she knows what scares the knight. After receiving a negative response, the guy goes on to say that only the knight is aware of his weakness, so he won't know how to react when encountering enemy knights on the battlefield. The girl notices that this should be a big problem. Tenjin also emphasizes that apparently Miss Wu told him, doesn't trust me. The hero starts to leave, but the girl asks him to wait, saying that he will get 10,000 rubles. Horses are too difficult, but she can only provide 5,000. The guy's right there. He notices that they agreed on 5,000 horses. Mei gets the feeling that she's not going anywhere. Tricked, but she quickly comes to her senses, asking if he has some time. Tenjin replies that he was waiting to get his blades. This surprises her a little, so she hurries to clarify what it is about. The brunette tells what he actually asked for. Make 2 blades in Tongmen. But then the siege began, and they were not finished in time. However, the blacksmith went back to Yancheng, so he had to finish them. Mi says she's going to go crazy, because she would have liked to see what the blades were like before he came to her with a specific request. They're on their way. While walking down the street, Miss Wu decides to ask what the guy's plans are for future. The same person claims that he has nothing concrete. Then the girl clarifies, did not think whether he wants to get married and have children. The brunette notices that someone like him is not suitable for marriage and children, and no one ever. She won't love him. A representative of the fair sex asks him not to talk like that, because he, a good man. At that moment, she wants to take his hand, but Tenjin abruptly points his finger to the blacksmith shop. A young blacksmith holds out an order box. The old blacksmith notices that he has invested everything. Use your skills to craft these blades. The hero opens the box and a smile appears on his face. He pulls out both blades, feeling that they are very good. The old man asks the employer to try out the blade. He throws a rock in his direction. Tenjin covers the blades with dark flames, and then with a single swipe cuts through the flying sword. Object. May also realizes that this stage is a mutation of spiritual energy, and that the guy's strength is incredible. Tenjin sends a dense stream of energy through the blades. Their blades are drawn out, after which it connects their handles, transforming the blades into a spear. This demonstration amazes the smiths. Miss Wu asks how he was able to do this. The hero extinguishes the flame, returning the weapon to its original state. Initial state in 2 blades. He clarifies what she means. The girl explains that it's about the mutation stage of spiritual energy. The guy thinks that it doesn't matter, because he has excellent control over his spiritual life. Energy. He puts his blades back in their scabbards, after which May suggests that he go home. He also notes that he can't find any reasons why his skills are getting better and better. They are developing faster and faster. Tenjin thanks the blacksmiths for their work. The old man asks him to take care of himself, mentally noting that he is seeing the second stage of spiritual mutation for the first time. Energy consumption. A representative of the fair sex offers to eat something. The brunette agrees, emphasizing that he will pay. The girl asks if he has any money. The guy says that the last time she'd given him 10 gold pieces, he'd used 8 of them for his blades, so he had 2 gold pieces left. Mi points out that he doesn't need to save money because she can give him money if he doesn't have it. The hero abruptly stops, stating that he does not. He was going to use the woman's money, so he would return the 10 gold coins to her. Later, Miss Wu doesn't understand what's going on or why he's refusing. After that, Tenjin turns around, stating that he was going home and would eat alone. She says he is still a child. After, she exhales, smiling and grabbing his hand, insisting that she won't talk about it again. That's why she suggests we eat in private. The events unfold in the official residence of Tenjin. The hero adjusts his armor. When his friends approach him, he doesn't understand why they're still here today. Holiday. The hero also decides to find out if they feel tired after training for a long time. Half a month. The swordsman states that he is still weak. As long as he is able to follow Brother Tan, he is confident that he will be able to become stronger than ordinary soldiers. So he believes that this training makes him stronger. The basis of sustainable development. He also apologizes if they bother him. Tenjin also notes that they do a lot of work for it and also they are willing to learn. It basically needs to perform as a mentor, so there is no need to apologize because compared to the usual during the day, there is no need to put in much effort today. Archer and swordsman fall to their knees, asking them to teach new things. 2 guys simultaneously attack the hero from the back. Eugene watches from the sidelines. He, totally relaxed. Tenjin doesn't move from his seat. When the blows are almost upon him, it just disappears, moving at such a speed that it leaves its image blurry. From the impact of the students, the swordsman requires repetition. The guy carries out a series of strikes, but General Tang calmly evades all attacks, holding hands behind your back. He's completely relaxed. Even an archer's attack in flight doesn't take him by surprise. Half a day passes. The students were exhausted. It turns out that they couldn't touch the mentor for all this time, even though it was an unreal fight. They want to know how he trained his body. The hero claims that it was very painful training. As a child, he lived deep in the mountains and forests. He wanted to keep his body warm so that he wouldn't die from the cold on top of the mountain. So he gathered wood every day with his clothes torn because he didn't have any other clothes. With every day in the forest, his speed, strength, and reaction time were getting better and better. Eugene wonders inwardly because he never expected Brother Tang to live like this. The 2 students finally understand the secret of their mentor's power. The scientist is the same, notices to himself that his appearance is bright and elegant. But in fact he has a history of suffering and poverty. What Eugene and the others don't understand is all because of the light shadows, because of which Tenjin appeared. His clothes were torn and he was mercilessly beaten by him, a master, and this left scars on the body and of course, a dark and terrible childhood. After moving into a cozy room and sitting down in the armchairs, Tenjin decides to ask if he knows Eugene anything about the situation in Tengmei. My brother tells me that the soldiers of Ning have left the city and Liang Kai is leading 20 units into the city to defend it, so they're at a dead end. The swordsman notices that he has heard that Liang Kai wanted to kill them, but now he won't be able to get out of it. Tengmei. Eugene notices that defending against the attack of Ning's soldiers has always been a problem. Liam family forces, but did not pose a threat to Liang Kai due to the fact that the king sent reinforcement, from which he received benefits in the form of fame, so the results double. The interlocutor notices that Liang Kai is very cunning, if this is the case. The scientist believes that the case, not even this guy, it's more like the Liang family head's plan. The swordsman understands that the Liang family wants to be the only one in power after all. Eugene's here. He draws attention to Tenjin, who didn't seem to be listening to them at all. Then a man bursts in with a report. He turns to General Tan, saying that Commander Den wants to see him. Tenjin even wonders what Deng Mai Yan wants. He orders me to let him in. Through. A few moments later, a battered soldier enters the room. Eugene laughs with the two guys, thinking that Commander Den was beaten up by someone or begged for money. The hero also smiles, asking if the subordinate looks like this because of their method. Training sessions. Den drops to his knees. The situation changes in seconds. It turns out that they were attacked by the 8th and 9th Infantry units. The Corps and AIGA was apprehended by them. The laughter turns to surprise. The hero becomes serious. Tenjin decides to find out the details of how this happened. Commander Den narrates that this afternoon, the other leaders and he went out for a drink, and there they encountered the commanders of the 8th and the 9th Corps and their leaders. Since they are indestructible, they began to argue with them, but in the end, they did not agree with them. As a result, they were unable to defeat them, and AIGA is currently in their custody. The hero decides, find out who the leader of the 8th and 9th Infantry is. Eugene replies that if he is not mistaken, then Liang Yuan and Wu Lixing. They are both subordinates of the emperor. The scientist emphasizes that Liang Yuan is also a member of the Liang family. In Tenjin's head, it starts. A picture is emerging. Commander Deng says they said General Tang was promoted only because of his relationship with General Wu. As it is, he only relies on his appearance and doesn't have a lot of money. There were such qualities as they had. The hero just smiles at this, asking where these people are now. The subordinate says they should be at the bar. Then Tenjin asks him to take him away. There, Commander Den agrees, though he notices to himself that General Tenjin isn't smiling. Emits an evil aura. He gets a premonition that something is going to happen. The archer and swordsman want to go with Brother Tan, but Eugene stops them, stating that there will be. It was too dangerous, so the two of them should go to General Wu and tell him everything. Boys, they accept the order. At this time, a group of people continues to drink in a dilapidated bar from a fight. Among them are AIGA, who is there clearly not of her own volition, as shown by her displeased face and torn clothes. One of those present notices that she is still stubborn. The other one asks for help to this gentleman. The first one claims that the commander of their unit is just a dummy, so right now, he's so scared that he doesn't even dare show up. The crowd laughs at these words. Then Tenjin enters the bar, offering the guy to visit the brothel if they want to be served. A woman instead of hitting his boyfriends. One of those present clarifies who he is. The hero introduces himself, after which the interlocutor. He notices that this is a charming guy who is dating Wu Mei. His associates. They laugh, but Tenjin just grins. Then someone else intervenes, saying that Liang Yuan, going too far. Then the big man gets up from the table, asking who the hell he is to insult their leader. Behind. These are the words the goon is ready to destroy him with. The guy with the long tongue continues to provoke, pitching, going to him, and the hero also orders his people to stay in their places. Tenjin blocks the way of the terrible soldiers, asking them not to go too far, because they are all on the road. One side. The same person does not understand who is on the same side as the other person. The goon states that he's the second Chiliarch of the 8th Corps, so he can't even call him brother. Pretty boy. The hero also clarifies, unless a simple Chiliarch can talk to the head like this. Buildings. The big guy shouts that the guy is not the head of the Corps at all, but a piece of shit. It attacks the hero. Tenjin intercepts the huge palm of the opponent, taking it aside, and then with a light, he bends it with emotion. An unpleasant crunch from breaking bones spreads around the environment. Hero. But it doesn't stop there. He strikes the enemy's neck with his foot, breaking the bones. The big guy who falls to the floor. Everyone falls into a stupor from this, and the hero turns to the general, Liang, noticing that his subordinate didn't understand the rules, so he taught him something instead. Tenjin asks if General Liang has any objections. The latter orders his subordinates, beat up the guy. The same crowd pounces on the hero, wanting to kill. The first opponent tries, strike with a stool. The hero also breaks it with a kick, after which he grabs wooden ones, shrapnel from it, sticking it in the head of the attacker and offering enemies not to waste his time in vain. Attack him en masse. Soldiers grab their swords, attacking the hero in a crowd. The latter also dodges attacks, each of them, and then notices that it's his turn. In a few seconds, it lowers all opponents to their knees. He leans over one of them, telling them not to let him go. Blamed him for not taking pity on him, because he should blame the leader of his unit, who didn't teach them proper manners. As soon as all the attackers lose consciousness, Tenjin asks General Liang to return them to him, a person who belongs to him right now. Otherwise, he will have to invite General Wu also participate. At this point, Commander Den realizes that their leader is very strong. Here to the throat, AIGA put their swords up, telling everyone not to move.